They shaped the sound of a generation, chart toppers, record breakers, and cultural icons. Their music filled arenas, lit up radio stations, and defined the spirit of the 70s. But while some legends still echo through history, others seem to vanish quietly, almost unnoticed, gone without headlines, no farewell tours, no viral tributes, just silence.
Distinctive voice of 70s supergroup Boston has died.
Brace yourself for the forgotten final chapters of 70s, musicians who died, and you didn't notice. Richard Wright was the quiet architect of Pink Floyd's sound. While Roger Waters and David Gilmour were the frontmen, Wright was the one who painted the sonic landscapes that made their music so immersive. His keyboard work on albums like The Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here wasn't just accompaniment, it was the very atmosphere of the music. He taught himself to play, drawing inspiration from jazz and classical music, and brought that unique sensibility to one of the biggest rock bands in the world. He was fired from the band during the recording of The Wall, a move that many fans still see as a betrayal, but he returned for their later albums and the Live 8 reunion in 2005. On September 15, 2008, at the age of 65, Richard Wright died of cancer. His passing was quiet, almost as understated as his presence in the band, but for those who truly listened, it was the end of an era. The man who gave Pink Floyd its dreamlike quality was gone. They called him the Ox, and for good reason. John Antwistle was the stoic, unmovable anchor of The Who, a thunderous presence who revolutionized the role of the bass guitar in rock and roll. While Pete Townshend was windmilling and Roger Daltrey was preening, Antwistle stood still, his fingers a blur, unleashing a torrent of notes that was both melodic and brutal. He wasn't just playing the root notes, he was playing lead bass, a concept that was almost unheard of at the time. From the raw power of My Generation to the intricate tapestry of Quadrophenia, his bass lines were the engine that drove the band. He was also a prolific collector of bass guitars, amassing over 200 of them. On June 27, 2002, just a day before The Who was set to kick off a U.S. tour, Antwistle was found dead in his Las Vegas hotel room. A heart attack brought on by cocaine use had silenced the thunder. He was 57. The Ox had fallen. Gregg Allman's voice was the sound of the South, weary, soulful, and steeped in the blues. As the frontman and organist for the Almond Brothers Band, he, along with his brother Dwayne, pioneered the sound of Southern rock. Their live album, At Fillmore East, is a landmark, a sprawling improvisational masterpiece that captured the raw power and musical telepathy of the band. Then tragedy struck. Dwayne died in a motorcycle accident in 1971, and bassist Barry Oakley died in a similar accident a year later. Gregg carried on, leading the band through decades of lineup changes, breakups, and reunions. He battled addiction, he battled his demons, and he kept making music. On May 27, 2017, at the age of 69, Gregg Allman died from complications of liver cancer. The Midnight Rider had finally come to the end of the road. John Lord was the man who made the Hammond organ rock. As the keyboardist for Deep Purple, he took an instrument associated with jazz and church music and ran it through a wall of Marshall amps, creating a sound that was as heavy and distorted as any guitar. That iconic riff from Smoke on the Water? That's Lord doubling Ritchie Blackmore's guitar on his Hammond, creating a sound that would be imitated by countless bands. He was a classically trained pianist who brought a sense of musicality and sophistication to hard rock. He co-wrote many of Deep Purple's biggest hits and was a key architect of their sound. On July 16, 2012, At the age of 71, John Lord died of a pulmonary embolism while battling pancreatic cancer. The man who made the organ roar was silenced. Walter Becker was one half of the enigmatic, genre-defying duo Steely Dan. Along with Donald Fagen, he created a body of work that was as musically sophisticated as it was lyrically cryptic. Their music was a fusion of jazz, rock, and R&B, filled with complex harmonies, intricate arrangements, and virtuosic musicianship. Songs like Reelin' in the Years and Ricky Don't Lose That Number were radio hits, but they were also miniature masterpieces of songwriting and production. Becker was the band's guitarist and bassist, and his playing was as tasteful and inventive as his songwriting. On September 3, 2017, at the age of 67, Walter Becker died of esophageal cancer. The music world lost one of its most unique and uncompromising artists. Dusty Hill was the man in the cheap sunglasses, the stoic bearded presence who held down the bottom end for ZZ Top. For over 50 years, he and his bandmates Billy Gibbons and Frank Beard were the purveyors of that little old band from Texas sound. Their brand of blues-infused rock and roll was as distinctive as their look. From the greasy boogie of Lagrange to the slick, synth-driven hits of the 1980s, Hill's bass was the foundation. He was the quiet one, the anchor, the guy who just stood there and played. On July 28, 2021, at the age of 72, Dusty Hill died in his sleep. The cause of death was not immediately released, but it was later revealed to be related to a hip injury. The man who had been a constant presence in one of rock's most enduring bands was gone. Neil Peart wasn't just a drummer. He was a philosopher, a lyricist, and a technical virtuoso who redefined what it meant to play the drums in a rock band. When he joined Rush in 1974, he brought with him a level of precision and complexity that was unheard of. His massive drum kit was a testament to his ambition, and his playing was a masterclass in polyrhythms, odd time signatures, and sheer power. He was also the band's primary lyricist, writing lyrics that were influenced by science fiction, fantasy, and philosophy. He was a true intellectual in a world of rock and roll hedonism. On January 7, 2020, at the age of 67, Neil Peart died of glioblastoma, an aggressive form of brain cancer. The professor, as he was known to fans, had put down his sticks for the last time. Rick Ocasek was the quirky, gangly frontman of the Cars, a band that bridged the gap between 70s rock and 80s new wave. Their music was a perfect blend of catchy pop hooks, angular guitar riffs, and Okasek's deadpan, slightly detached vocals. Songs like Just What I Needed and My Best Friend's Girl were instant classics, and their 1978 debut album is a new wave landmark. Okasek was also a successful producer, working with bands like Weezer and Bad Brains. On September 15, 2019, at the age of 75, Rick Ocasek was found dead in his Manhattan apartment. The cause of death was hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. The man who had been the cool, detached voice of a generation was gone. Brad Delp's voice was the sound of 70s arena rock. As the lead singer of Boston, his soaring, multi-tracked vocals were the centerpiece of the band's sound. Their 1976 debut album, Boston, was a massive success, selling over 17 million copies and spawning hits like More Than a Feeling and Peace of Mind. Delp's voice was a force of nature, a powerful, crystal-clear instrument that could hit notes that other singers could only dream of. He was also a lifelong Beatles fan and performed in a Beatles tribute band called Beetlejuice. On March 9, 2007, At the age of 55, Brad Delp died by suicide. He left behind notes to his family expressing his despair. The man with the golden voice had been silenced by his own inner demons. Ronnie James Dio was the voice of heavy metal. From his early days with Elf, to his time with Rainbow and Black Sabbath, to his own solo career, Dio's powerful operatic voice was one of the most recognizable in all of rock. He was the man who popularized the devil horn's hand gesture, a symbol that has become synonymous with heavy metal. He was a master storyteller, his lyrics filled with tales of fantasy, mythology, and good versus evil. Songs like Holy Diver and Rainbow in the Dark are metal anthems, and his influence on the genre is immeasurable. On May 16, 2010, at the age of 67, Ronnie James Dio died of stomach cancer. The king of heavy metal had been dethroned, but his music will live on forever. They may not have left with fanfare, but their impact lives on. In every crackling vinyl, every dusty cassette, every memory from a golden age of music. Why do some names endure, while others fade with the static? And how many more stories are still waiting to be heard? If you know a 70s artist we missed, drop their name in the comments. Let's keep their legacy alive. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that shine a light on the overlooked and the unforgettable. Thank you for watching.